Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, welcome back, scholars. Straight Talk with Professor Carter. Class is now in session. I have a very specific question I want to ask to the men that watch me. Are you 3/5 of a man? Do you still have a slave mentality in your everyday life? What do you mean by that, Professor Carter? What is he talking about? 3/5 of a man. You see, slaves in this country, in chattel slavery, in the founding of this country, slaves were not considered whole people. They were not considered a full person. In fact, they were considered 3/5 of a person. We are now centuries past slavery. We are at a different point in society. However, some men still have adapted, still have not shed the slavery mindset. And I want to kind of go deep with this. This might be a multiple part series that I talk about because I think it's important. There's so many issues at hand, especially in the black community, especially amongst the men. There's hate. There's vitriol for one another. There's turmoil in our households as far as our relationship with our wives and spouses. And a lot of this stems from, in my opinion, the 3/5 of a man mentality, meaning you don't even look at yourself as a full man. Those around you don't look at you as a full man. Your spouse doesn't look at you as a full man. So therefore you don't get the interactions and the proper respect, the proper outcomes that a man would have. And let's understand what I mean by man. When I'm using the term man, I'm talking about someone who is fully knowledgeable of himself, who is capable of leading others, and capable of leading himself. So ask yourself, are you in that position? In your household, are you able to lead? Or do you have to ask permission? Are you able to go to your job and demand a certain level of respect? Or do you kind of sit in silence and keep your head down and, that a boy? You see, in order to evolve, in order to get to the next level of success, you have to be able to stand in your own truth. You have to understand who you are as a person. Unfortunately, so many of us are unhappy with who we've become, who we are. We're unhappy with the decisions that we made. We're unhappy with the mate that we may have chose. We're unhappy with where our life is at this stage in our lives, and we don't know how to correct it. And so we hate on others who have not made errors in their decisions the way we have. And so we tend to hate. This is a serious issue because the longer you spend time hating on the next man, the more energy you put forth trying to point out the flaws in someone else, that's less time that you're putting on yourself to fix your issues. One of the biggest decisions a man can make is who they marry, when they decide to have children, when they decide to start a family. And unfortunately, so many men make that decision before they're actually ready to take all that on. So they make a decision and they take on and create this family unit, but they want to be the leader of it. They want to be the head honcho. They want to be able to be in control, but you can't do that when your spouse or partner brings 50% or more in. And I'm not just talking about just from a financial standpoint. The saddest thing is when you see grown men who don't even it's when I have a puppy, and the first thing I did after I bought him, I put him in a cage for about 2 days, and I said, you know what, I'm going to give him the run of the house, because it's important for him to realize that in order for him to protect this home, he has to feel like this is actually his home and not just a little cage inside of the home. See, so many men have been placed into a little box. Maybe they can have a man cave in the garage, or maybe some little space in the basement or something like that, but they don't have the freedom to roam their own home. You know, so many men can't even go in the house and change the channel without getting backlash, right? So many men, you may, I don't know, drive a nice car, but when that phone rings and that spouse calls you, you have to turn that car around no matter where you're going, no matter where you're at. So you don't have free range of your home, your automobile. You don't have free range of your children. You don't have free range of your marriage. And so you hate. You know, some people don't have free range of themselves. You know, maybe they're overweight. Maybe they have issues. They're broke. And instead of them taking the time to say, you know what, I'm not where I want to be financially, maybe I should acquire some skills or make some decisions to be able to get to a better place. Instead, they hate. They hate on their counterparts who actually do that, who actually take the time to develop the skill set, have the balls or the ingenuity to go after and succeed and keep raising that bar of success for them. They hate on that man. They don't like the fact that that man can go and come and go and understands that he is the architect of his own life. They don't like that because they're not the architect of theirs. Well, they are, but they've handed the pencil over and allowed someone else to do the drawings of their lives for them. And they disguise it as maybe, I'm just trying to keep the peace. Happy life, happy wife. Well, you know, the white man ain't gonna let me. These are weak-minded men. These are men who are disappointed in themselves, but they don't know how to take that frustration that they have with themselves and put the work in to better their situation. Instead, what they would rather do is point out and try to belittle others who are doing what they wish they could do, which in fact they can, but they're choosing not to because they're scared to make the bold decisions. See, the truth is, until you are fully whole, not just 3/5 of a man, until you become a full man, you don't have the freedom. You don't have the mindset that is necessary to achieve. Because in your mind, it's always someone else that either oppresses or raises you. So many men, they fall off at such an early age, and they wind up hooking up maybe with a wife or getting a girlfriend, and they wind up living with that person, or instead of being able to develop their own kingdom to really be a king, you partner up, or you get with someone who dominates you and tells you, even though you're the king of your castle, or, you know, that's the catchphrase, hey, what's up, king? No, kings have subjects. Kings have kingdoms that they protect, that they expand, and they have people that are loyal subjects to them. And one thing I want to clarify is, if you are a king, it is important that you have a queen, but the queen works for the king. You see, if your queen is telling you what to do, you're not a king, brother. You're one of her subjects. At best, you might be one of her favorites and her concubine. And best believe that queen will go out and seek a real king. See, when you're not in a position where that you can say, hey, this is what I have built on my own. This is what I have obtained. And now I want you to come and share in this with me, or I want you, or this is my plan. This is what I plan to build. And I want you as a woman to come along with me on this journey and be a helpmate in the form of a wife to help me on my journey of building this. Then you're not a king. because the king understands that he has to protect, expand his territory. His territory. But so many guys these days don't have their own territory. You know, I like to use the example of, if person A, if the man makes 100,000 and the woman makes 100,000, oftentimes they'll come together and they'll live a $200,000 lifestyle, which is fine if that's what you choose to do. But just understand that there's no way that you could expect total submission, that you could expect to be the true leader in that situation if your lifestyle is dependent on someone else. It's better that you live the lifestyle that you can afford on your 100 grand. So that way, if your spouse decides to have children or decides no longer to work, the lifestyle doesn't change. And now she doesn't resent you because now she's forced to go out and work and bring to the table. That's why these arguments happen. You can't tell her to cook and clean when she's just doing just as much work as you. She's tired. You get up and clean. You know? These are the hard truths that we have to talk about as men, because what I'm seeing more and more of is so many men not taking the time, not taking the energy, not utilizing the energy that they have to propel themselves to the next level. Instead, what they're doing is they're seeking validation from women, validation from their friends, because they're not whole yet. They're still 3/5 of a man. They're waiting for master, and master could be their woman, their wife, their friend group. Women can be their social media. Master could be their social media. Whatever they're seeking validation from, they don't know who they are. See, part of being a slave is you first have to strip away everything that slave knows. Strip away their education system, strip away their religious system, strip away life as they know it. So now they are confused, which is unfortunately a lot of men these days, just plain old confused. They're in their 30s, their 20s, their 40s, unfortunately even in their 50s plus, and they're still confused. They have no idea what life is. They have no idea who they are, because for so many years they've tried to conform to what their friends wanted them to be, what their spouse wanted them to be, what their girl wanted them to be. They never figured out who they want to be. And so now something on the inside of them is kicking back, and they're angry, so they're lashing out and they're hating and they're bitter and da-da-da-da. And you know what they say, you know, misery loves company. So what did these guys do? They shame other men who are not in that situation. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't listen to that guy. He's not married. He doesn't have children because he was smart enough to not have children, so he's actually ready to have children. Don't listen to him. He's not married. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, because he understood that he wasn't ready to take on a wife yet, so he is going to wait till he builds up his kingdom to be able to bring a queen to his kingdom, as opposed to some of you guys who couldn't afford to make it out here on your own, so you had to couple up, and then you wonder why you're in the situation that you're in. No, see, for me and guys that think like me, it's about getting to a point of self-sustainment, meaning I'm okay with or without someone. Now I'm able to bring someone into my life because I can make it without them. I can go buy a BMW or any luxury brand vehicle and not have to worry about if my wife is going to be able to put money into this so I can be able to get it. I don't ever want to be in a situation where if my wife decides to have my children and no longer wants to work, now our whole lifestyle has to change. Can't afford this house anymore. No. I want to put this message out there for men. That is not the way. Take that time and energy. Focus on yourself. Build your empire. A woman is just supposed to come along to help you and aid you in building that empire. But so many guys today are not capable of doing that. And it's hard to have to look in the mirror and realize that I just don't measure up. I just can't do what I thought I could do. Or I've dug myself so deep in a hole that I'll have to start all over. And you're not man enough to be able to do that. You're not man enough to say, you know what? I made some poor decisions. So now I have to take where I am and make better decisions moving forward. No, instead what you would like to do is hate on those who aren't in your situation, try to pull them down to be like you. But the truth of the matter is, they're not like you. Men I'm talking to, the men that are like-minded, like myself, understand that before you can put the face mask or the air mask on anyone else on the plane, you first got to put it on yourself, brother. So I don't just want this to be an attack on men who are still 3/5 of a man and not quite a man yet. Even if those men attack me, I want to come with solutions. See, on this platform, it's all about pointing out the real issues with Black America, the real issues within marriage and relationships between Black people. But it's also about developing solutions for those. We don't want to just talk and cry about what's going on. We want to be able to say, hey, let's put our heads together and let's think about how we can change this and fix this. So I'm going to give a couple pieces of information and suggestions for those who are just haters because they're not where they want to be as a man. Let me give you the first piece of information. My suggestion to you would be to look yourself in the mirror and take ownership of where you are in your life, because it's your fault. If you are a loser, it's your fault. If you are codependent on a woman and you can't live your life, it's your fault. If you are in a situation where you're not earning your potential, it's your fault. And once you take that power back and stop blaming everyone else, stop blaming the mythical white man and stop blaming systemic racism and all of these other things that you can hoot and holler about and call everyone else a coon or sellout because they've decided to take their lives into their own hands, because they understand that, you know, the God they serve can take them anywhere outside of any systemic issues that are happening, then you too will be able to have the power to do that. You will see that, you know what, hey, I may be a bitter loser right now, but if I work hard and I do make the right decisions, I can change the projection of my life. And you might have to shed some people along the way, but that's a decision that you have to make. And my second piece of advice is, I want you guys to realize, when you hate on another man, when you take time out of your day and give a person free real estate in your mind and think about them and get angry and try to discredit them for achieving, all you have done is you just let that man know that you are inferior to him, that he's better than you, and that you actually idolize him and you wish that you were in his shoes. See, what so many men have done today, they've taken on a feminine nature, right? A masculine nature understands that, hey, just because you are successful, your success does not take away from my success. You see, I want and I encourage everyone to be as successful as possible, because the more success I have in my network, the more opportunity will come my way. The more I can say, hey, man, good job, man. You know, hey, can you help me out with this? Can you let me know how you made it there? And then I can take that information and utilize it and pass it down. But see, what some people like to do, those that are 3/5 of a man like to do, they hate on the next man. They try to down that man as opposed to working with that man and congratulating that man. We see this all the time on shows like Real Housewives of Atlanta and other, you know, female shows like that. Bitterness, cattiness, always in some drama. I can't stand him. That's what you guys look like to me, and men that think like me. You guys are the Real Housewives of Upper Marlboro, of PG County, of Washington, D.C., of Virginia. Real Housewives of the U.S. Real house husbands. But on a serious note, I want everyone to take my main point of making this video is because I've seen and become worried of what I'm seeing so much of in today's society, where men are attacking and hating on other men for no reason, for doing things that they themselves can do if they choose to do it. But instead of putting the work in to do it, you'd rather take that same energy criticizing and belittling those who actually can. And it's really because of one word: threat. See, men that are actually doing what they're supposed to do, they are a threat to you. You're threatened. The hyenas make a lot of noise and they're quick to when the lion comes around, because the lion is the biggest threat. But the lion, he doesn't talk much. He's calm when he's around a bunch of hyenas, because he knows those hyenas ain't gonna do shit. They just bark and be loud. So, in closing, I'll say this: get rid of that slave 3/5 of a man mentality. Become a full person and get everything in life that is owed to you, because it's your God-given right as a man, as a human being. You don't have to be 3/5 of a person. You can be a whole person if you're willing to do the work. And those that are doing the work, congratulate them, appreciate them, because the more men like me will make it easier for people like you, your spouse, your children, because we're the ones that you guys can look up to. We're the ones that are going to be the protectors and set the pace for the next generation. Till next time, I am Professor Carter. Class is dismissed.